3, 2, go.
We got a theme song. And
Yeah, we
everything.
do.
There it
Super
is.
epic.
Epic.
Composed and performed by Sam Suenos.
Sam Suenos, R.I.P. Sammy.
He's not
dead.
Landon, you're the one who told me he was dead.
Oh man!
I haven't seen or
every
heard from him.
time.
I'm just saying.
When
Every
are you
time.
guys going to learn? I lie. That's what I do.
I'm about to text Sammy right now. You're
Text him.
making me nervous.
It's Friday night here at Beechwood Drive Studios, and we have a very special episode of Hurry Up and Wait LA.
Yeah.
The Arts and Educational Podcast. I am Jorge-Luis, actor, director, producer, teacher, commuter cyclist. I just bought a bike.
What? Are you a hipster?
No, I was just a very angry motorist with a lot of road rage in Los Angeles, and for some reason, on the bike, less.
I feel like this opens you up for having like swinging motions with bats more so and like more damage.
Why does everything go to violence?
You were saying that like you like less rage. I'm like, but you're still on a vehicle and you're actually more available to like cause violence.
See,
and destruction.
here's the issue with you, Veronica, because you're going for an action actor. You got the sweetest face and the biggest smile,
It's
but
funny.
you are the most violent human being I've ever met.
Like your life is a day in the life of Veronica is like a game of
Entertaining.
GTA.
It's
or
I've
very-
never-
it's very
I've-
entertaining.
The day I gave her knives is the happiest I've ever seen her.
They were matching throwing knives, and they were so pretty. I was very
murder
happy.
in her eyes.
Very happy. They were
Pure murder.
green.
All
Why
right.
don't you introduce yourself?
Okay.
You
I
murderous
was like,
fiend, you.
You guys just perfectly introduced me. Do I need to continue?
Yes. Yeah. Elaborate.
Well, I am Veronica Roy, clearly an action actress, according to the dialogue you just heard. I'm also a writer, producer, and a collector of state magnets.
Any particular states that you've been to recently?
Ooh, at New Orleans, Louisiana. Yeah.
New Orleans.
Oh, yeah, you went with your brother for your
That's
birthday.
I did
you,
in May.
You enjoy the dollar on the shirt, getting money from people.
Yes, that is a thing. So on your birthday in New Orleans, you safety pin $1 to your shirt, and that is a clue to everybody else to go, oh, happy birthday, and then add $1 to the safety pin, and it's supposed to contribute to your first drink.
How much you make?
$30.
Nice.
I did it the entire weekend.
Oh yeah, it's my birthday every day. Every day.
But I just heard that like women and little kids make the most money.
Of course.
They do. Yeah, so you know.
Of course.
Kind of creepy, but okay, sure, whatever.
It's a little
All
creepy.
right,
Yeah,
fine.
I'm sure if I pinned $1 to my shirt, I would be short 50 cents.
Yeah. This guy, yeah.
By the end of the day,
This guy looks like he can't drink. No, let me take that money back. You shouldn't be drinking.
here's a
be
quarter.
drinking.
Yeah.
Give me that $1.
It's a bottle of water for you.
Well, moving on with the introductions, we have to my left.
I am Landis Aponte, writer, actor, and connoisseur of fine brownies.
Brown.
Yeah, I actually had a fine brownie. I went to a restaurant that was way too expensive, and I'm so broke right now.
How much did you spend on a
Hashtag worth
brownie?
it.
I don't
Too
ask.
much?
Don't ask.
Is it like that $12 avocado toast
No,
that I can
yeah.
make at home?
Listen. I'm recently divorced, and I'm doing things to keep me happy because. Okay, so I'm a big foodie, and it was a pop-up restaurant. I'm trying to remember the name, but it was really good food. But apparently, the chocolate was like some Swiss BS bullshit I can never get ever anywhere. So it was. You're gonna kill me. It was a $16 brownie.
What?
It was a $16
wait,
brownie.
$16 brownie.
What were the dimensions of
How
the brownie?
big was how big was this brownie?
It was about. I'm using my hands because I don't know the dimensions, but it was about this big. It was about this big.
That's too
not
small.
big enough.
No.
That's not big
But-
enough.
yeah, no, no.
Minimum the size of your face.
I accept
Minimum.
your scorn. Yeah, no, way too much for a fucking brownie. Way too much.
Was there any peyote
Yeah,
in the
that's the
brownie?
thing. I was gonna take that back. I was gonna say way too much for a brownie without any good stuff in it, without any edibles in it. But it was amazing. It had 3 different types of chocolate, and then apparently this weird flour that was made from some virgin oil, blah blah blah, whatever.
Found at a mountain
Yeah,
top.
yeah, and it was
plucked
really
by like a
Plucked by a
barefoot
monk.
monks.
It was made with goat's milk, and
Oh, snap.
yeah,
What is this pop-up restaurant called? I might,
something French, whatever.
I might invest $16
But
and just not get gas that day.
It was amazing. It was amazing, and I will be paying for it for the next 6 to 7 months.
$16.
But you know what? After the 3 months I've had, I deserve it.
You deserve
I deserve it.
Good
Do
for
it.
you.
Do
I
it.
deserve it.
You ate that brownie and you enjoyed every
Listen,
single bite.
I love going out with people and putting the food in the middle of the table and everyone enjoying. I did not do that with that fucking brownie. That fucking brownie was mine. That motherfucking brownie was mine. And newly single, there was a very attractive friend that a friend brought just to like try to hook me up, and she's never speaking to me again. Like, no, bitch, you ain't getting this shit. This is a $16 fucking brownie. It is my brownie. It's my fucking brownie. Oh no, I got greedy.
Was it at least,
I got greedy.
Was it at least like a lava cake in the middle?
No,
like
no.
Chocolate?
It was a brownie, and then they had it was ice cream, but they call it some fancy shit. It was ice cream, but not even ice cream. It's like the ice cream on the spoon, and they kind of rub it on their hands and put like a little.
They rub it on their hands.
Yeah, no. The way the chefs do it is like you scoop the ice cream, and then the bottom of the spoon you kind of rub it on your hand to keep it warm, and then it slides down so it looks like a soap or a drop. I'm not making any sense. It makes sense to me. Fuck it.
And this has been Brownie Talk.
Brownie Talk in WLA.
Now I want a brownie.
It was amazing.
You can get your brownie later. But before you go and get your brownie, I hear that we've got some special announcements or something. Well, first of all right, so what do we got going on the show tonight? We got Ronnie's The More You Know, social media questions.
Bam.
We got Landis with his What the Fuck Hollywood rant. I got 90 awkward seconds with me and our guest, who I will introduce shortly. But before we got all that, Veronica, we've got a couple special challenges from our friends at the New Hollywood for our listeners. You got that info?
I do.
Okay.
So go ahead and start playing my underscored music,
Oh, yes.
and we will begin this jam.
Yes.
I really love the underscored music, so I gotta wait for this part.
I just want to make sure that it's not too loud.
Just blind me out. There we go. Love it. All right, the two challenges we've got. Challenge number 1, Kindness in Action Challenge. All right, you guys, you're going to need to get your phones out and start snapping pics of you spreading the love, and then you're going to post it. So first of all, it's an Instagram challenge to inspire random acts of kindness in our community. The top 3 participants are going to get a prize. Now, the how is to post daily pics on your Instagram account of you doing an act of kindness. Make sure that you tag hashtag here's the tongue twister. I like that. All right. Hashtag TNH Kindness in Action. Now, the when, we are going to be starting it September 1st, which was several days ago. So you guys need to catch up. It's going to go for the entire month. So go ahead and get your kindness thinking caps on and get ready. That is the completion of challenge number 1. Now, challenge number 2 is the New Hollywood Get My Body Back Challenge. The what? A 3-month challenge to help you achieve your health and wellness goals. That can be both mental as well as physical. So that could be meditation goals, stretching goal, drink more water goal, or the diet and exercise goal. Which one do you think you'll pick? So the how is you put your money where your mouth is. It is a tax-deductible donation that goes to a charity of your choice. Now, the when, you must register by September 11th so that you can start with your group on the 12th. Now, in order to register, you can get on www.thenewhollywood.org/getmybodybackchallenge. Yeah, and
Nice.
that is the end of the second
Those
challenge.
sound
Those were like
fun.
mouthfuls.
Yeah.
I like
Great challenges, though. I've done that Kindness in Action challenge.
Yeah.
It's just a nice reminder to
pay it forward.
And you can do simple things like, dropping a quarter in somebody's meter.
Nice.
Right?
That's good.
Or,
we need those in this town.
We need those.
Oh,
in
we
this
need
town.
those,
Like you
yeah.
see somebody's empty meter, you put a quarter in there or
Yeah.
something like that.
Well, even
right?
as
Something simple
thing as like, hey, good morning.
Yeah.
That makes your day. Like when somebody acknowledges you as a human being.
And then as soon as you say good morning, then you could out loud say hashtag TNH Kindness in Action. It counts.
And it's
it
ruined.
Counts.
And then now it's
counts.
So you're just going to go randomly around to strangers and be like...
Do something nice and then say hashtag TNH Kindness in Action.
So this is me like, oh, Landis, you look good. Oh, thank you. And then you're taking a selfie saying hashtag saying, oh, like, that meant nothing.
No, I'm
that meant
I'm not doing
nothing.
a selfie. I'm just very quietly as I'm walking away. Hashtag TNH Kindness in Action.
You're a human being. Why don't you just come up real close and whisper it in his ear?
Holy shit. Oh, God. I've been
You
around.
are a sick human being.
But
I
very
love it.
entertaining.
I've been around.
All right, so now as we are moving this on,
Sure.
Landis,
Listen.
what information do you have for us next?
Oh, God, after I laugh at that. All right, so on today's episode, Jorge has invited another Hollywood industry professional
Whoop, whoop.
to share their origin story, lessons learned, and advice on the craft, their career, and Sorry, and I'm coughing. And their career with us here at HUAWLA. So, Jorge, who do we have with us today as our guest?
Who you got?
Oh, I've got somebody very special. Very special. I actually went to college with this woman.
Yes, that's true.
Gasps in Spanish.
NYU, Tisch School of the Arts. Still trying to figure out which building they bought with my tuition. How about you? On this episode, ladies and gentlemen, we have writer, producer Dailyn Rodriguez. She's worked on shows like Ugly Betty.
Good show.
The
Nice.
Blades. Lie to Me.
Ooh.
Bam.
George Lopez.
Nice.
The Night Shift.
Snap.
In Plain Sight.
Love that show.
And most recently, my favorite show on USA Network right now, Queen of the South.
Queen of the South.
Queen of the South! I actually do the AfterBuzz TV show for it.
Nice.
I gather around with some other panelists and we
geek
sit
out.
around and watch the show. It's like us watching our stories. I feel like my abuela. I'm going to go watch my stories right now. Ladies and gentlemen, Ms. Dailyn Rodriguez.
Hello. Hi, everyone.
Hi.
Hi.
What's up?
You know, stuff. My blood pressure.
I'm excited to be here.
Excited to have you.
What are we talking about?
We're talking about you.
About you, boo boo.
Yeah, all about you, boo boo. We want to know. Well, we start off with your origin story: the hows, the wheres, the whens, the whys.
Yeah.
I was born in a small tenement building. And
Good.
no.
Yeah. I like it. And I'm going to say in Tennessee, right?
Yeah.
That's the vibe I'm getting.
That's where I'm the fuck from. No.
And we apologize for the interrogation lights that we have on you. It's
No,
like,
it's
we don't.
perfectly placed.
That's fine. So, like, for real, like, origin story?
Yeah.
Like, where I'm from?
Where
like,
are you from?
Right.
What got you? I mean, I remember. Okay, I just remember our freshman year.
Yeah.
We were in the same studio.
So
we were all actors.
Right. So
and then
I started
you
as
went another direction.
All right. Well, so I started writing plays in high school, but I was also acting. What I had was this phenomenal mentor in high school who is an acting teacher, but he started an actor playwright workshop in my school, and he thought that I would be good at writing. So I started writing, and he was right.
It's good.
I was one of the winners of the New Jersey Young Playwrights Festival 2 years in a row.
Nice.
And then I won a writing contest for Baker's Plays, who's now defunct and taken over by Samuel French.
Yep.
A young playwriting contest. They usually picked one act play to publish, and they couldn't decide, so they published all 4 of my plays in an anthology. So, but I felt like I wanted to pursue acting, so I auditioned Early Decision to NYU. Got in, but I chose Playwrights Horizons because if people don't know about NYU Tisch, the undergrad is sort of split into schools that you go to study acting, like Stella Adler and Circle and the Square,
The classics.
Classical Theater Wing,
experimental
the
theater,
ETW.
practical aesthetics workshop, which I think now they're just calling it Atlantic Theater. So I chose Playwrights because I wanted to keep pursuing writing.
Nice.
And then, no offense to the actors in the room, the 100th time that somebody was singing a musical tune in the lobby of Tisch, I went, peace out.
Yep.
So I decided I was maybe with not quite the right tribe. Like, I love actors, but maybe it wasn't quite right for me. So I walked into the dramatic writing department. I went up to the professor that took submissions and very cheekily walked up to him and handed him my published plays. And I said I would like to transfer into the dramatic writing department. And he took a look at my plays and looked at me and he was like, I don't think it's going to be a problem.
That's awesome.
Basically, he said, why didn't you apply here first? And I said, I don't know. I love acting, and I still love acting. I think acting is an amazing craft and very difficult. So I got into the dramatic writing program, and that was it.
I remember seeing one of your plays in, like, was it sophomore or junior
Did you
year?
see
it was the one where the two guys
Between
were
the
rowing
Land,
a
the
boat.
2 guys in a boat.
Yeah.
I ended up writing 2 plays to sort of bookend it. So it's
Yeah.
like a trilogy. It was about immigration. It was like about the 1995 balseros that were coming over from Cuba.
Right.
And that was like these 2 guys coming over on a boat. It was a challenge because it was very much, it's very the actors couldn't move. You know what I mean? So it's a really challenging kind of play. But
so this trilogy that you wrote, is this one a part of the 4 in the anthology?
No,
that was
I wrote
published?
those in college,
Okay.
and then I wrote all 3 of those plays at NYU
after the fact.
Yeah.
And so the 4 that were published, were those tied together in any way, or are they all standalones?
Interestingly enough, I didn't think they were tied together, and then my mother, who's seen, I think she ended up seeing 2 or 3 of them. I'm not sure. I think it was my mother. I can't remember.
They're still being produced.
In high school. So we did them in high school. The 2 of the plays were the ones that won the New Jersey Young Playwright Festival.
That's cool.
So, and all 4 were produced in high school, and they get produced in high school now. Like,
cool.
they still get produced. The coolest thing was when I got a thing from my publisher that said, "You just got produced in South Africa," and they changed my name. They changed the spelling of my first name because they couldn't say it or something, so they changed it to Dailyn, which I thought was awesome.
That's cute.
But
That's your South African name. All right.
yes, that's my South African name. Now I know this. No, they actually had a thematic connection, which I did not realize until I had to come up with a title for the anthology, and all 4 of the main characters were people that couldn't had kind of a form of agoraphobia, didn't want to leave the house. And I was like, what am I saying about myself? All 4 of them. So I called it Throwing Off the Covers. It was about four characters sort of overcome this wanting to change their lives, move on. The female protagonists all had this desire to basically throw off the covers. You know what I mean? And I didn't realize that it was totally subconscious, but
That's all.
I had a character one play. The first play I wrote was called A Woman, a Bathroom, and a Dream. And it was about a woman that wanted to be an actress, but she was painfully shy, so she would act in her bathroom in front of a mirror. I wrote this in high school. Yeah, she couldn't get out of her bathroom. She could only sort of perform in the bathroom.
This sounds like a self-taping opportunity.
Yeah. So it was stuff like that. It was I realized every character had this issue. Then I wrote one of the plays was called Dirty Laundry, and it was kind of an homage to A Glass Menagerie.
Okay.
And it was a character that kind of had an overbearing mother and couldn't leave her home, and her very offbeat father brought a suitor home for her.
Oh, wow. So it was comforting.
Yeah. So I wrote kind of I wrote very sort of slightly comedic plays until I discovered Sam Shepard, and then I wrote a crazy play. That's in the 4 of them. My favorite playwrights are probably Edward Albee, Sam Shepard, John Patrick Shanley. I think if I'm going old school, I've sort of, unfortunately, because I've been so immersed in television, I've sort of lost the thread a little bit in theater now. I don't know who's who these days, unfortunately, because I've been so immersed in television. I still love theater. I still dream about going back and writing theater again.
Why not?
I know. I should. I should. I never want to have one of those reviews in a paper TV writer Dailyn Rodriguez has decided to come back to theater, and the play feels like an episode of television. I would just shoot myself in the head.
Right. And then you have actors Vanilla Ice.
Yeah. I had a great class at NYU with one of my favorite writers, John Guare, who wrote 6 Degrees of Separation. He was one of my teachers, as was Tony Kushner, who was amazing. But John Guare asked us all to go around and say what we thought was a perfect play. Ooh. And till this day, I still remember this because I chose a play, and he went, I might have to change my answer to yours. And I was like, yes! I chose Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf. That
is a pretty perfect play.
I think it's a perfect play. Yeah. It's really amazing. And actually, the movie is super interesting because it's a great study in watching how you take something very contained in one room, basically, and make it cinematic. They sort of... He takes it out, he puts it in a bar, he puts them in a car, he sort of gets it out. It's really... And one of the most amazing Elizabeth Taylor performances ever. Yeah. ever,
I'm gonna
ever,
have to
ever.
Put that on my Amazon.
You've never watched it?
I haven't seen it in years.
It's so fantastic. Mike Nichols.
Yeah.
It's just so.
It's one of those movies that I probably haven't seen in like 20 years.
It's a brilliant play. I mean, when you talk about like character development and relationships and psychology, it's so unbelievable. It's just such a great play.
I think the last time I read that was college.
Yeah.
Everybody should reread this play.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
It's genius.
Well, I'm always looking. I've got a whole.
I see this.
I have a plethora of plays
Yeah.
to look through.
He's pointing to a wall.
I have to
with
go back.
shelves of plays.
I have to go back to reading more theater. I miss it.
I love it. It keeps
I love
me
the
sharp.
theater. I know. I love it. I love it. I should
Every
go back
once
to
in a
reading
while,
more
just
of it.
like pick one up, but I have to do it for the students.
But
as well,
the thing is that I'm working, so
Yeah.
part of my job, which my husband laughs hysterically because I'll binge something for a whole day and I feel like I didn't do anything today. And he goes, "You're actually technically working." I'm like, "Oh my God, I am working."
Thank you, baby.
I'm totally working right now.
He's a keeper. That's a keeper.
That's
Keep
good.
him.
Yeah.
He's good.
So I wonder, do they put plays on audiobooks? Is that a thing?
There are some.
Yeah, there
Really?
are some.
There are
It's-
some.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
they get a bunch of actors to
Yeah.
do different parts of
Yeah.
that.
It's-
Or they get the
amazing.
One really
they
good
get
actor.
the performance, and
Yeah.
they'll record the performance.
Oh.
And you can find those on Audible. Like I listened to "This Is Our Youth" with the original cast on it.
Yeah.
It's Kenny Lonergan.
Yeah, Kenny
Yeah.
Lonergan and the Hulk.
Oh,
Bruce
it's
Banner.
Mark
Bruce
Ruffalo.
Banner.
It was
Mark
Mark
Ruffalo.
Ruffalo
Yeah,
and
it was
Laura
Mark-
Linney.
I was going to say which
Well, did
one?
Laura Linney
Yeah,
do the original
exactly.
or was she only in the movie?
I don't think she was in the movie. No, I think she
She's
was
in
only
the movie.
I think she was
Yeah.
only in the movie. I
It's
don't think she
Mark
was in the
Ruffalo,
original, but
yeah.
it is Mark Ruffalo
Yeah,
in
it's
the
Mark
original
Ruffalo.
stage
Yeah.
recording. So I got to listen to that.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you
Yeah.
No,
can
there's
download
versions.
it.
And it's, I think in podcasting, they're doing now more what are they radio plays? They're doing that more and
radio
more
plays,
with
yeah.
original work.
So when I was at NYU, when I dropped out of acting and moved over to dramatic writing, I still wanted to be sort of involved around and be around actors. I interned at the Atlantic Theater Company when they were still in that dinky church on like 22nd Street or something
Oh,
like
yeah.
that. Yeah. And they would do this. These radio plays to raise money for the theater. And it was like they would do these old-timey radio plays
Love that.
written by all these playwrights.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah.
I'd love
No,
to start
it's-
doing those on
Yeah.
the
I want-
podcast. To tell you the
yeah, no,
truth.
I'm planning, but I want to do it with some of my scripts because the Blacklist has their podcast where they just take the scripts that no one's ever
I
going to be
didn't
made.
know they did that.
Yeah, but these are
They used to do.
Yeah.
I think they still do at the Ricardo Montalban
Yeah,
Theater.
yeah.
They'll do stage readings
Yeah.
of the Blacklist.
But
So
the
they
Bla-
do
yeah.
it for pilots?
They just do it for their scripts that they know it's never going to be like the out there comedies
Right.
and the dramas are like no one's ever going to make this, and they bring in Paul Scheer
That's
and all these
amazing.
actors, and it's amazing to listen
really
to this. But for writers, it's a good venue. Like if you don't get your movie produced,
Yeah.
you
Still haven't heard.
everyone knows good people that you can make this happen and
Yeah.
then get some buzz out of it. But it just listen to it is amazing.
It's
Like-
so painful when you write a pilot, and I wrote 2 pilots in the last couple years, and I loved them so much,
Yeah.
and it was
Yeah.
such a bummer
yeah.
when they don't go. It was like
You work so
God.
hard.
Yeah.
you work so hard, and you get so many notes, so many notes,
Just
and
like
it's
notes
like
to death.
Yeah.
and you.
This is great hearing this from the writer's
Yeah.
perspective.
Yeah, it's great.
Because
Yeah.
I can speak. I mean, from the
Yeah.
actor's perspective, it's
Same.
It's the same thing. It's like I feel like the Red Baron. I've killed so many pilots at this point. I freaking book a pilot
Yeah.
and it doesn't go anywhere. and it
Yes,
breaks
but
your
you know,
heart.
George Clooney was known as being the pilot killer for years and years and years,
Yeah.
and they almost recast him in ER
Yeah.
because he was bad luck.
Oh,
That might be lore, that might be Hollywood lore, or it might be true. But
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 then ER
Yeah.
went.
So what you're saying
taken
is that
off.
someday I too could sell
Yes.
a tequila business for $1 billion.
Yes.
yes,
Yes.
that's what I'm
Yes,
saying.
Yeah.
you could be the new Cary Grant.
Yeah, Clooney didn't get. Yeah, that he was in his 40s when he actually got.
He had a really bad
Yeah.
reputation. They called him the pilot killer.
Yeah.
He was doing a lot of half-hour comedies too, because
Yeah, it's a Facts of Life.
he was on Roseanne.
Yeah.
He was on Roseanne.
right.
He was on Facts of Life.
Yeah.
That's right.
Super funny, really talented
Yeah.
actor. By the way, can I have a total non sequitur? This is the best podcast because they just like refill your wine glass, everybody.
You're welcome.
It's empty. We're like snapping at George. Fill her liquor glass.
Get her to talk. Put the wine in the glass.
Yeah.
That's your service,
good.
my lady.
Mm-hmm. So we went on a super non sequitur, but that was that's my origin story.
Mm-hmm.
I went to NYU, graduated dramatic writing.
Mm-hmm.
They don't teach you how to get into the business,
No,
just like they don't teach actors how to get into the business.
Hence this podcast.
Here's your diploma.
Yeah.
Thank you. Get
Good
the
luck.
fuck out.
Good luck with everything.
Diploma.
Thanks for the chandelier in our lobby.
But now that you're an executive and you're working on a show, you're going to be getting a phone call every 3 months about how you can donate.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah. Well, they've already, they always do.
And since you're an alum, you can like now come and be a speaker, a guest speaker,
Yeah, of course.
Or
Yeah.
teach.
or
teach.
teach.
I had great teachers at NYU. I don't want to diss. This is not a diss NYU podcast. It is like it's hard to. I think it's difficult to teach people how to get into the business because I think it's different for everyone.
Yeah.
Right.
That's
There's
the
no direct
unfortunate
roadmap.
part.
Yep.
There's really no direct map. It may be a little bit more for actors there is, but for writers there just isn't.
No,
you
definitely
know?
not.
You
Not
don't
even
think
for
so? Not
actors.
even for
No.
actors?
Because I know guys that I started with 20 years ago, and we're all at different places.
Okay.
Right? We're all at different spots. And there's no. Sometimes it seems like there's no rhyme or reason.
The one thing they don't teach you that I think actually is across the board is how to get representation.
Right.
That's good.
Do you know what I mean? That they definitely don't teach you. I mean, I basically fucked about in New York for a while. I had different jobs. I worked in the news. I worked in magazines. I thought maybe that's where my writing could go. And then I kind of said, fuck it. And then I started working in the restaurant industry like a lot of people. But I found myself in New York, and I'm from New York originally. And
What part?
I'm originally from Washington Heights.
Oh, right on.
I'm from
Wepa.
Lin-Manuel Miranda's
Oh, snap.
neighborhood.
Oh,
But
snap.
I moved to New Jersey when I was 9, but I'm like a tri-state area girl, so I went to NYU and I lived there for a long time after college. And what I remembered when I was in NYU was flyers for the Walt Disney Studio Writing Fellowship. Oh. And I applied once when I was at NYU with I'm dating myself now, a Mad About You spec. Wow, I'm old.
Paul Reiser and Helen Hunt. You and me both.
Yeah, and I didn't get in. And then years later, after sort of trying a bunch of different jobs and not knowing what I was doing and having like panic attacks every day and working 2 jobs to pay my rent, I basically was like, maybe I should apply to the Disney Fellowship again. And at the time, Sex and the City was on the air. And I loved it. And I was kind of living the 20s version of Sex and the City. And
were you a Miranda or
I was a Carrie.
You were a Carrie.
Okay, remind me, is Carrie the Sarah Michelle?
Yeah. I was Carrie. Come on, she's the writer, so I was the Carrie. So I wrote an episode, a spec, submitted it to the Disney Fellowship, and I feel bad telling this story because it's like magical. Mm-hmm. So I submitted it. I packed all my shit. I told my mom, I moved back home, saved a bunch of money, waiting tables, and said, I'm moving to LA. And she goes, you don't have a job. Are you crazy? She's my Cuban mom is like, "Estás loca?" I gotta go. I gotta get out of here. I'm losing my mind. I don't care. I'll do the same shit I'm doing here in LA. Mm-hmm. Packed all my shit, moved to LA. At the time that I moved to LA, rents were actually amazingly cheap.
Yeah.
It's gone batshit crazy since then. But so I was a barista at a coffee shop in Hollywood, and I got into the Disney Fellowship. So I moved here in August.
I hate you
I
so
got
much.
the call in November. I know it's not.
So you moved
I moved without knowing I was into it.
Yeah.
So I moved in August. I got the call in November that I was being interviewed. I got interviewed, and then by January I was in the Disney Fellowship.
Bam. Ownage.
I've been trying for 2 years.
I'm so sorry.
She's sick of
it was one of those things that like I don't 100% believe in this kind of thing, but it was like everything fit into place. You know what I mean? Like the second I told my roommates I was moving, you guys have to find somebody to take my place. The next day somebody called and said, "Hey guys, do you know somebody that's looking for a roommate?" It was like one of those things.
Nice.
So it's like everything just sort of like, if you want to believe in the universe kind of provided and everything sort of. Yeah, there was a synchronicity. Yeah. I think New York was like, get the fuck out. And I said, okay, I'm going to get the fuck out. Okay. And then LA was like, hey.
Welcome.
Welcome. And it was kind of one of those things. It just happened for me like that.
So what was the fellowship exactly? What did you end
The fellowship's a little different now than when I was in it. It basically, when I was in it, it was feature and TV. And basically, what was interesting about the fellowship, and it still exists today, this part still is
I apply every year and get my heart broken every year.
I'm so sorry. I'm sorry. I know. Well, when I was in it, basically, it is blindly. It's read blindly. So it's not just a diversity fellowship. It actually, once they make all their choices, the fellowship actually looks like what a writer's room should look like. So I have
questions about
that. It's very mixed. The fellowship's changed a little bit nowadays.
Yeah, a friend of mine's going through it right now. So
I'm on the fence about how I feel about it, because when the fellowship used to be open to anyone, and it was like you would submit a spec script. At the time, it wasn't popular to write original material. You had to write a spec of a current show.
Okay. Right.
Now they want original material because nobody reads specs anymore of
we submit
original
both.
material.
Like actually,
you have to submit both.
Yeah, you
now?
have to submit.
Okay,
you have to submit both.
I stand corrected.
Yeah, because that's my headache. Like you have to submit both.
Would you explain very very briefly, Landis? Would you explain to the listeners?
Yeah, explain what it is now,
what
and then
a spec script is.
A spec script is basically there's a show on the air, so you as a writer write an episode of that show for spec for free. But it's
for speculation,
and then you basically just show the showrunner or the producer that you can write for that show in the voice of those characters.
You can mimic a voice,
exactly.
Yeah.
It's tedious. Forget it. It's a headache. It's stressful as hell. But it's something that for the fellowship you still have to do it plus an original. So you got to do both.
So you have to do both. I thought you had to do two originals, but it's not two originals.
No. You got to do a spec, and they give you a list. So you get your list.
But this is my problem with the fellowship now. And I don't want to trash the fellowship because I love it and it gave me my start. But it's shifted because when I was in it, it was open to anyone at all that wanted to apply. Yeah. And now you have to have letters of recommendation for people that work in the industry. And unfortunately, it has become a little bit of a... what do they call like when you have like a
nepotism?
No, not nepotism. No. It's a little bit nepotism. But like when you have like baby baseball groups, you're like training.
Oh, minor league,
like, basically, it's kind of like it's like a training.
Oh, like Pee Wee.
Yeah, it's not the right word I'm looking for. Anyway, I can't remember. It's basically like people that work in the Shonda camp.
Oh.
Yeah.
So there are camps.
It's like a training ground for Shonda writers.
Yeah.
So basically what happens is that a lot of the people that end up getting into the fellowship are people that have been assistants or PAs in Shonda land. Not all of them, but they have a slightly more of a leg up into the fellowship because the fellowship wants to guarantee that they can get these people on shows. So if Shondaland is recommending this writer, they have a better shot at getting this person on one of Shonda's shows. So I think that's amazing. But the problem is that what has been taken away from the fellowship is that you're canceling out talent that could come out of anywhere that you don't know where it could come. I wouldn't have been discovered that way. Do you know what I mean? I was a waitress that applied for this program. So it's kind of an issue I have. At the same time, I don't begrudge those people because they all are very talented, and then once they get staffed, they have to prove that they have the bona fides to be there,
Yeah,
and that they're like, do you know what I mean? And they are amazingly talented, those writers.
Do you think it's become more difficult then?
It's more difficult to get into the...
For
Well, I mean, it depends what you say more difficult. If you, in the sense that, like, you have to have recommendations now from people in the industry to get into the business, which means that they're bringing people in that are already sort of have a leg in a little bit, as opposed... So it's harder to get in from nowhere.
Like
well,
right
I want to,
off the
because
bat.
I want to, like, I apply every year, and I've proven myself. But a really good friend of mine made it this year, and he's in the process. He's writing for The Good Doctor right now.
That's awesome.
But for him to get in this year, and he was like me, we were both applying every year for the last 3 years. He got into CAPE, that's Central Asian Pacific Fellowship. He won a ton of awards for his screenplays. He had an amazing year. Plus, he was an assistant on what's the famous show that got canceled? The Grandfather.
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 It's funny.
Exactly. But that's why he got in.
It's harder.
And then I understand where you're coming from, but I also feel good for him because he busted his butt to get in.
I don't want to take anything away from those writers. I think that they're amazing and they work really hard to get into, but like the random writer,
but a person
from nowhere,
I get harder for some and easier for others.
I don't really have a great shot because I have to provide for my daughter. So if I want to be a writer's assistant, which I can, I got to go and do a lot of work.
I hear you.
To even get a shot.
I hear you.
And it's stressful, but I'll get my shot. But but I feel where you're at, where you're like, I'm still on the fence. I'm like, I know all these guys, so I'm happy for them. But also, you're missing possibly amazing talent. That could be out there because they live in Missouri.
And on top of that, it's extremely difficult to get a writer's assistant job or a PA
You're
job, a
me?
writer's PA job. No, it's really, really hard. I don't know if you guys saw that I was interviewed for a New York Times article. And a lot of people responded, like, it's really hard even to get, like, those entry-level positions to try and go up the ranks in a writer's room. It's hard, man.
Particularly, would you talk a little bit about the inclusion of the writer's room and the diversity of it?
Yeah, I want to ask a lot about that because I was fortunate enough to be at a seminar, diversity seminar in the WGA with, I wrote the names because I forget them. Linda Villalobos, I always forget them. But Charles,
Lihia
Villalobos. No, I jump from like, let me say it in English. No, I'm Hispanic. Let me say it in my own language. Henry Robles, but like 15 writers, and even though they're executive producers, showrunners, it is very much a Caucasian male group still.
Right. In particular, I don't know if you've heard about the Magnum PI showrunner talking about it being difficult.
Have I fucking heard about that? Yeah, I've fucking heard about it.
Yeah.
Well, he does have one Latinx writer on the show. Who came in through a diversity program. Guys, don't get me started on the diversity programs.
Yeah.
So
let's talk.
I mean, the New York Times article. That's what I sort of talk to about with the writer is that I call it the diversity ghetto. So what happens is that that whole article was about the pipeline problem in the industry. So the problem is this. You get paid through a diversity program, which basically, in essence, is a form of affirmative action program, a fellowship, a Disney fellowship, the Warner Brothers program.
WGA has one too.
All of those programs, and even within house, they have incentives to hire a diverse writer for an entry-level position. The problem that happens, and it happened to me, is you get on a show, and maybe that show doesn't make it to a second season, it gets canceled. Now you go out for staffing season, you go for another job, and they say, okay, we'd love to hire you, Dailyn, but you have to stay at staff writer, and you have to stay at staff writer because then you are a free writer to the show because you get paid through the diversity program. So what happens is that I know writers that have repeated staff writer like 4 times. I repeated it twice. I repeated story editor 3 times. so you get stuck in a low-level position. Look, it's amazing that you're on a staff and you're writing, and that's awesome. But the problem is that when you get stuck in a low-level position and you don't go up the hierarchy, and I don't know how well your listeners understand the writer hierarchy, which I can get into and talk about in a second.
Yeah, please talk about it.
But what happens is that then you have no mid-level writers, and then there are less people moving up the ranks to become co-executive producers and showrunners. And those are the people that are going to hire more mid-level Latino, Black, LGBT, Asian, not able-bodied writers, whatever the diverse writer is, because they're in positions of power. So if you don't go up the ranks, there are less diverse writers that are show running. Do you know what I mean? So it's that, and it's also a lack of diversity in the executive ranks and in the agency ranks. That's also a problem. So if you have this pipeline problem, it's not that there aren't writers out there. There are a shit ton of diverse, amazing, talented writers. It's that they're not being seen because they're getting stuck in a certain position, and then you're going, hey, we really want to hire a diverse co-EP woman for the show, because it gets that specific. We would really love that on the show. We want that voice, but there's like 6 of you and you're all working. Fucking promote people.
Then promote people.
That's the problem. You're not promoting people. If you don't promote people, then everybody's in this situation. Right. So then what happens is that you have a bunch of staff writers that are way overqualified to be staff writers, that have now been on 3-4 shows. They should be producers. They have all this talent and all this experience, and they're still baby writers. They're considered baby writers.
Oh, wow.
So basically the hierarchy goes like this. You start as a staff writer. And then the next year, you're supposed to be promoted to story editor. Then you're promoted to executive story editor. Then you're promoted to co-producer, producer, supervising producer, co-executive producer, executive producer. And then there's a consulting producer that sort of is somebody that is usually on a deal and works like 3 days out of the week kind of thing. They're like a part-timer on your show, and they're usually developing. So that's the hierarchy.
How does a staff writer rise in the ranks in that situation?
You have to have a showrunner that will. First of all, you have to hope that your show doesn't get canceled after one season, because it's built in your contract. You immediately go up every season.
Okay.
Right? So it has to be built into your contract. And number 2, you have to hope that your show doesn't get canceled. And the other thing is, if your show does get canceled, you have to hope that your agency pushes for you to get a bump on your next show. But a lot of times there's only so much they can do, and people want to work. So they turn to the writer and go, well, I can get you on the show, but you have to be a staff writer again. And most people say yes. I mean, it's debatable. Are you going to say no? I don't want to work. Yeah. So that's the problem. And then, I mean, you could stand your ground and say no, unless you give me a story editor position. But like, people want to work. I mean, I know very few. I don't mean to be racial. I don't want to cause controversy, but I know very few white people that this happens to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that was in this seminar, and these are writers that are showrunner, executive producers, but they were very honest with us. Like, listen, the struggle is real. The struggle is very real. But that's how do you?
It is getting better, though.
Yeah. No,
it is getting much, much better.
But how did you deal with that? Because when you started, it was
it's super frustrating.
Yeah.
I'll tell you my biggest issue, and without naming names, I came out of the Disney program, which, even though it's not explicitly a diversity program, it's kind of seen as that a little bit, even though there were a lot of Caucasian, white writers in the fellowship. I got my first job on a sitcom. I started in comedy, so I was on George Lopez's show. And then I stayed on for 2 seasons, so I became a story editor. But then it did not work out on that show. I moved on, and then I went on another show with the same production company. And they said, yeah, we'll hire her, but she has to go back to staff writer. I had already gone up one rung, and I had to go back. And I didn't have an agency that fought for me, and I needed the job.
Right.
And so I took it. And then after that show was canceled, I then made a transition to 1 hour dramedy. So I went on Ugly Betty. And they bumped me to story editor, which was awesome.
Now, what's the difference between a story editor and a staff writer?
There's no difference. It's just pay and hierarchy.
Okay.
It's a little bit more experience. You're a little bit higher up. You get paid a little bit more.
But it's the same job.
It's like a one-day guest star and a co-star these days.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's kind of like that. You have
Okay.
a little bit more experience,
Okay.
so they bump you up a little bit. So, and then we had a regime change on Ugly Betty, so most of the writers were let go after the first season.
Yeah.
And then I was asked to repeat story editor, but I kept going up for Latino shows. My agency was only putting me up for Latino shows. So I fired them.
This is a time, too,
right before the strike, which
Yeah,
is
and this
awesome.
one,
before the writers' strike.
Yeah, the
Because there wasn't a
2008.
ton of Latino shows either that were
No,
being pumped out.
so the fourth show I went out on was Kane, which ironically was like the closest to my
Yancey
experience. Yeah. No, that wasn't Yancey wasn't on that. He was on Kingpin.
Oh.
Yeah.
No,
Kane was
Jimmy Smits.
Jimmy
Yeah,
Smits.
which ironically I loved working on that show, and it was the closest sort of to my experience because it was a Cuban family.
Yeah.
I loved it. It was Rita Moreno, Hector Elizondo. If nobody's seen it, if you can find it, it's amazing.
Yeah.
But we were sort of a casualty of the writer's strike and a casualty of CBS trying to do something out of the box that was not procedural because we were soap. And everything they picked up that was a soap that season just died on the vine, right?
I remember that writer's strike well.
Yeah. So I found a new agency and I basically said, you have to put me on the whitest motherfucking show on television. So they put me on 90210.
Ask and you shall receive.
Yeah, but unfortunately, because of that, I shied away from writing really ethnically specific material for a really long time. I would always put like a Latin character in the pilot specs that I would write, but I kind of shied away from it because I felt like I didn't want to be pigeonholed. And I'm in a different stage in my career now. So a couple years ago, I sort of went, you know what? It's my duty and my job, and I have to write Latin material, and I have to write for my community, and I'm in a better position to do that and be an advocate.
Yeah.
So I very much changed
There's
my
a
point of
fine
view
line,
about
though.
it.
There's
Yeah,
a fine line there
is.
where you don't want to be known as the Latino writer.
Yeah,
right? It's
yes.
Dailyn. She's female and she's Latino. She checks 2 boxes.
Look, I'm still that. I'm a
Right.
twofer.
Yeah. Right.
I'm a twofer. I say that all the time. That's what I am. I know that that's the case.
Okay.
It's the reality of the industry. I hope that I transcend that I am that, plus I'm talented.
Yeah.
I think in the New York Times article, I talk about how people call me a unicorn, which is unbelievable. I think,
see it.
and it's because of the pipeline. It's because of a few reasons that name gets tossed around. I think Adele Lim, who wrote Crazy Rich Asians, also says that she's been referred to as that. It's something that you contend with. I'm older, wiser, more experienced, so now I feel like I can be really honest about this kind of stuff and just be like, yeah, I don't want to just be that. I want to be something else. I can write anything. I'm a writer.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I have a very different experience. I sort of, through the years, have had to train my agent, because my agent will say, like, hey, do you want to write this thing that's about gangs and blah, blah, blah? I'm like, I know nothing about this. I went to private school in New Jersey. I'm like, you know what I mean?
I can't help
it's
you.
like, I can't help you.
I didn't live this life.
I will have to research the shit out of this. It will not be authentic. Like, you know what I mean?
I know the feeling.
It's like I'm not a stereotype. I'm not the stereotype of what people think of when you think of a Latinx person. Whoever thinks those things, I don't know. You know?
Well, we're all Mexican, you know.
Yes. Didn't you know?
Didn't you know? Yeah.
We're all Mexican.
So you're
anyway,
from Cuba. Where in Mexico is that?
Where in Mexico is that?
Yeah.
Oh, that's fascinating.
You
I didn't
guys
know.
like spicy food, don't you?
Right?
No.
Not all.
No, we know.
So you're Puerto Rican. Are you legal?
You put
God.
spices in all your fruit, right?
Yeah, that's it.
Oh, I got a story about that. Did I ever tell you that story?
Mm-mm.
All right, so...
By the way, am I sucking at this, or am I?
No,
Not
you
at
were
all.
wonderful
No.
at
You were
this.
very entertaining. You're not
Thank you.
leaving any gaps
No.
or
Awesome.
silence that we have to fill in.
Awesome,
No,
thank
I
you.
am not going to have to edit this episode at all, quite honestly.
No.
Yeah.
So far, no.
It's good stuff.
Perfect.
I'm not pissing anybody off or offending anyone either.
Nah.
No.
You guys don't give a shit.
There was
really.
that
Met
one
us?
thing.
Have you met us? No, in fact, you actually confirmed my fear because when you submit to these fellowship, you don't get any feedback, you don't get anything. But then, so you feel like shit, like you feel rejected, and you feel like shit because you work so hard to write the spec.
It's brutal.
and also an original, and
Yeah.
and it's not like, oh, you can write any spec. It's like, no, we have a fucking list, and these is the only list you can choose. So if I don't know that show, I got to watch that fucking show until I'm a master at it.
To be really honest
Yeah.
with you, I think they should get rid of that.
Yeah.
If I was running the fellowship, and I hope Tim's not listening to this because I know him, I would get rid of that because at the end of the day, look. Any good writer is going to be able to pick up voice.
Yeah.
It is what it is.
Yeah.
You get on a show, your first script's not going to be quite right. But if you're a showrunner worth his or her salt, you know, okay, let me explain to this writer how it's not quite right, how my voice is. Read a couple more scripts, and then the next one, maybe you'll get closer. Look, you have to educate people. There have to be mentors.
Yeah.
You're a showrunner. Part of your job is to mentor people and explain shit to them and teach them.
Yeah.
When nobody can just go, hey, I can write like Dailyn Rodriguez perfectly. It's not possible.
I would love to see a Michael Bay showrunner.
No.
Robots and boobs.
Oh,
Robots and boobs.
I know way too many people that work for him. No, that's not even. But I'm so glad you said that
shit.
because it goes to my biggest pet peeve of that. And not just this industry, all industries do it. We're like, oh, you're hired. How come you don't know this fucking shit? Because I don't know. You just hired me. I have an idea. I have some experience. But your specific job, I got to learn, regardless of what my background.
This seems to be just... And being an artist in general, I mean, I'm seeing there's a lot of similarities between being an actor and being a writer in that sense, because we are expected to know stuff that I've never I was never in a gang, I was never in a gang war, but I'm going out for gangbangers every other week. I was never a cop, but for some reason I need to know how to hold a gun. These are all things that I have had to learn.
But it's also goes like it's the same thing with a really good director. Like a good director will tell you, listen, here's this, here's that, here's how we do it, and kind of walks you through the process till you get to that moment.
A really good one, but I've also lived with, also worked with some really impatient ones where you show up and all of a sudden you're supposed to gut a fit.
Literally.
Yeah. You're supposed to show up to set and know how to gut a fish like a real fisherman. And I'm like,
that's a bunch of bullshit.
I'm like,
that's a bunch of bullshit.
And they're pissed off with you because you're holding up production.
Okay. Is it television?
Yes.
Well, that's the problem. The problem is that, like, we are asking people to do the impossible.
Within time constraints.
We're dealing with shit budgets. 7-day shoots that really should be 9-day shoots.
Right.
And it's like, go. So, like, you have certain directors that can deal with that and know how to deal with the constraints of it, and certain directors that don't.
Not so much.
The fact of the matter is, if you really sit down and think about it, it is absolutely insane that we shoot TV shows in 7 days.
A lot of the shows.
It's really
it's like
insane.
you're shooting a movie.
It's crazy. I basically, like, my sister-in-law came to the set on Queen of the South to check something out, and I explained to her, we're watching the scene. I was like, so this is like about a 3 to 4 minute scene. It takes 3 to 4 hours to shoot 3 to 3.5 minutes of television. And she was like, holy crap.
Shit.
It's
a lot of work.
It's absolutely crazy that we do this. And that's not even including the hours of breaking the story, outlining it, sending the outline to the studio, getting notes, then sending the outline to the network, getting notes, then writing the first draft, getting notes from the showrunner, doing another pass, now sending it to the studio, getting notes, then doing another pass, now sending it to the network, now another pass. Okay, now production weighs in. You know that crazy shootout you have in Act 2? Can't do it. Okay, let's rewrite that.
Yeah.
You know, can you just make it 2 people in a room? Okay. I mean, the kind of shit that we have to get to just get a production ready draft.
It's a miracle.
Is a fucking miracle.
And then you have your pink pages, your green pages, your blue pages, your goldenrod.
Then now you get to the lead actors. Number 1 on the call sheet, number 2 on the call sheet, number 3 on the call sheet. I don't want to say this. My character wouldn't say this. Okay, let's talk about that. What would your character say? Why do you think you would say that? Then it's a conversation. Okay, now we have to change this line. Okay, what's your problem with this? Because number 1, 2, and even 3 gets to give notes.
Yeah.
You know, and that's valid. That's valid.
That's part of the collaborative process.
It's part of the collaborative process.
That's actually a great...
Sometimes it's not great.
Sometimes
it's awesome.
That's a good question, though. Like, in terms of at what point is an actor able to get to that point of collaboration where it's okay, as opposed to you're causing too much problems, we're going to recast you.
I probably am an anomaly in this sense. I think any actor that has a line can come to me and talk to me about their line.
But that's not like the norm.
It's not the norm.
Yeah.
No. I mean, look, you have one line, just say your line. I mean, let's be really honest.
It's a lot of that.
I've just expressed to you how difficult it is even to get there. Yeah. You know what I mean? But you're number 1, 2, 3, 4 even. You have to come to us, and if you have issues with something that we've written, I come from the theater. Let's go back. Let's turn this around to the beginning. I believe in the collaborative process. When you start delaying production and shutting shit down, that sucks, man.
Right.
It's like you have to get to a point where it's like, in my opinion, those notes should be given even before you're on the set, unless there's something that is discovered within the scene and somebody finally realize something's uncomfortable, it doesn't make sense. That's why all shows should send writers to produce their episodes, so the writers are there, so the actors can come to you and go, oh shit, man, I know I didn't give this note. This line's really awkward. Can we rewrite it? And you go, okay, why is it awkward? Okay, I see that, or I don't see that, or I explain to you why it was written like that. Or maybe you think something sucks and doesn't work, but it's something we're paying off in episode 7 or 8, and you have no idea. And now I'm on the floor saying to you, oh shit, I'm sorry, you have to say that because we pay that off in episode 8. Do you know what I mean? It's like
there's also a way to approach it.
Yes,
right?
Of course. And look, writers on the set fuck up. Actors on the set fuck up. Nobody is perfect. Everybody, it is. I personally think it's an artistry to on-set producing. There's a way. This is my ethos. People want to be heard. Writers want to be heard. Executives want to be heard. Actors want to be heard. Directors, casting. Everybody wants to be heard. We are all making something creative. We're making art, and everybody wants to feel like they matter. So when writers who have producer titles are dismissive, I think that's a problem. I think there's a middle ground of being able to make people feel like they're being heard, and it is a collaboration, and it's a dance, and we have to figure out what that dance is. And it's important because then everybody's happy. Everybody feels like, oh, I'm important. I've contributed. I have worked on this. My work is valued. When you start just dismissing people whole cloth, like, well, that's a dumb fucking actor that doesn't know what the fuck they're talking about, or this writer's a moron, or that executive's a shitbag, we're in trouble.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? Yes, there are idiots in the industry. Yeah. There are people that do stupid shit and say stupid shit. I know shit about Lethal Weapon. I'm not going to talk about it. I know.
I've heard a few stories myself.
I know shit.
Tacos and sangrias after the show.
But that being said, everybody needs to check themselves. You are not more important than somebody else. Right. That's the problem. The problem is that everybody comes on with like, I'm more important. No, you're not more.
No.
Fuck you. No. It's like when you become a showrunner, you are the last word, but you have to. If you guys ever want to read something unbelievable, do you know Javier Grillo-Marxuach?
No.
Okay, so Javier is a Puerto Rican writer. He has a very lengthy resume. Off the top of my head, the only thing that comes to my mind is that he created a show called The Middleman on the WB a long time ago.
Yeah.
Wait, that sounds familiar.
Why does that sound familiar? The Middleman.
Why do I know? As a Puerto Rican, how come I don't know this guy?
He wrote this really, really great essay. It's called, I won't remember it quite because I've had 2 glasses of rosé, but it's like the 11 rules for show running. It's an essay he wrote, and it's unfucking believable. It's like it's really like this amazing essay about how to be like really great at your job and also be kind and mentor people and not be a fucking asshole. Because I mean, I've been in the business. I have worked for some unpleasant people, and I have worked for some amazing people. Do you know what I mean?
Who are some of the best people you've worked with? Fuck the ones that are the worst.
No, I mean, I've worked with...
Let's celebrate the good ones.
I think Natalie Chaidez was really amazing, who's the showrunner for Queen of the South. I think she's a really kind person that, like, really values people's opinion. Yeah. And I think that's important. I've worked with... my bosses on The Night Shift were fucking amazing. They were, like, 2 white guys that really, like... were allies.
Right on.
They were like, we're making a show that's set in San Antonio, and we are white guys, and we don't need 10 white guys on our show to tell us what white guys know. We need a diverse staff of writers. It was one of the most diverse writing staffs. That and Queen of the South are the most diverse writing staffs I've ever been on. He had a shit ton of female directors.
Right on.
He said, you're sending me the same people I've worked with for 20 fucking years. Where are the new hot female directings?
There is a
like the
surge. There is a
do you know what I mean? There's a surge of female directors.
Right,
these people that have just been waiting in the wings for that chance.
Have you ever worked with Zetna Fuentes?
She's a friend.
She's amazing.
I love her.
I worked with her on...
we know her, too. Why not?
We're Lana said high-fiving. Yeah, I totally know her.
No,
I desperately wanted my pilot at CBS to go so she could have directed it. I mean, I love her. I think she's so talented. Boricua. She's amazing. There's a surge right now. And but so I always say that like we need white men
for money.
And no, we need white men in power to be allies.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's all well and good for us to become, Latinx and African Americans and Asians, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, to become showrunners. But the reality is we're still working up those ranks. 80% of showrunners are white men. They need to get out of their comfort zone and hire more women and people of color and disabled people and all that kind of stuff. They need to get out of their comfort zone. It's really hard. I say this all the time. I'm empathetic to it because we live in a tribal society. And I know that people gravitate towards people that make them feel comfortable, people they have something in common with. And of course, white men want to hire white men. They're comfortable with white men, but we have to get out of our comfort zones. But
it's also about
and
the
be an
stories that
ally.
are being told, right?
Yes,
I mean,
no, that is part of it. But it's not just that. It goes back to what I was saying before. It doesn't matter if you're doing the good doctor, right?
Yeah.
Are you really hiring 10 writers that are autistic? No. Not everybody knows what it's like to be on the spectrum. You need to hire diverse writers that have diverse opinions. Of course, if you're writing Mayans, or like Grand Hotel that's premiering on ABC, that's a Latino family. It's a yes, of course, you want those voices in your room. It'd be ridiculous not to have those voices in your room. But the point I'm trying to make is that we should be able to write everything.
Sure.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's about those people that are in power getting out of their comfort zone and opening their eyes to other POVs and other experiences, and realizing that those experiences bring so much to the storytelling. You know, I'll give you a perfect example. Okay, I'm sorry, I'm talking too much.
No, you're
it's
not.
good.
No,
I'll give you a
it's
perfect
good.
example. I was working on the night shift, and we were bringing on a new doctor on the show. We were casting Dailyn Rodriguez, who I love, who's awesome. And he's half Puerto Rican, half Cuban. And my boss was like, we were going to do an episode that was like a Day of the Dead episode because it took place in Texas, and there was going to be an accident and all this stuff, and some of the doctors were going to go to like the Day of the Dead parade and blah, blah, blah. And I just blatantly said to my showrunner, I said, well, what is Adam playing? And he was like, what do you mean? And I said, are we playing Adam's character as Mexican? Or is he playing Puerto Rican, Cuban? What Latino is he? He's like, does it matter? I said, yes. And I said, the reason it matters is that Cubans and Puerto Ricans and Dominicans don't have Day of the Dead. And he's like, I didn't know that. And I said, okay. And he's like, that's interesting. That's an example of like why you know, and he's like, okay. I said, so he would approach it differently. He wouldn't be like, I'm going to this thing that's familiar to me because I go to it all the time because I grew up with this cultural touchstone. I am going to something like I've always wanted to go to because I don't know anything about it and it's so interesting.
Right.
That's a different character experience. You know
Those
what I
are the
mean?
little details,
Yeah,
little
that's a
micro
detail.
moments.
So
Love
that's
that.
why you want to hire
Yeah.
people that have a different POV or can explain. Like, and I don't begrudge him that, and I don't think he's an asshole for not knowing. Of course he doesn't know that. Why the fuck would he know that? It's like, we can't assume that people know everything about the Latinx community. We can't assume that everybody knows everything about the African American community or the Asian community. We just don't. It is not their experience. It is our job when we get in these positions to be like, that's not quite right, and this is why. And that's why you want to have a diverse writing staff, right?
Love it.
You know. Anyway, I'm talking too much.
No, you're
No,
not.
that's
No,
you're
you're-
the point of the
You're
podcast.
the point of the podcast. You're
Literally,
teaching.
your name is on the title of the
Yeah.
episode.
All right. Anyway.
Exactly. Oh, that was fun. That was fun.
Can you talk a little bit about your relation, the writer's relationship with the director on set now? Because I know it's much different than in a feature, right?
Oh,
in the film industry,
totally
it's
different.
much different than in the TV industry. How's that?
Well, it's different because of the hierarchy. So at some point you get a producer title, and you're expected to act like a producer on the set. Even when you're a staff writer, a story editor, executive story editor, you're still the de facto producer on the set. You're learning how to produce an episode of television. There are DGA rules. So there's certain things that you can't do. Like, for example, you can't go up to an actor and give an actor a note.
Okay.
I don't know if you guys know this, but like Jill Soloway got into a lot of trouble and Transparent over this. If you look it up, there's like a whole DGA complaint that was filed and stuff like that. You have to be very careful with that because that's their job. They are the conduit to the actor. So it's like if you have a note, you go to the director. You give the director the note, unless the actor comes to you and is like, "What did you think of that?" Blah blah blah, and then it's okay, and then you can sort of talk to the actor. But I still like to include the director in the conversation. I'm like, "Oh, let's bring the director into the conversation because I don't want them to be like what just happened."
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm very much about communicating with the director. So the difference is that like I'm there, I'm acting as a de facto producer for the episode. So if I'm there, I need to make sure that we're getting all the coverage that we need for the editing room. And I need to make sure that the intent of the episode and the intent of the scene is actually coming to fruition. So I'm there to go, that's not quite what this line means. Or I'm there to go, she has to say that because there's something that happens in episode 8. You know what I mean? Or like, or stuff like that. Like we're there to catch mistakes. We're there to make sure that there's a consistency visually, in a series that they're getting sort of the shots that the showrunner likes. Stylistically that we like to get all the coverage we need for editing. I said that already, but like we're basically there to make sure that the episode and make decisions like, okay, maybe we're going over, we can't go over because we're going to have to pay like double time or whatever, golden time, blah, blah, all that shit. So at some point you go, maybe we can drop this scene to another day. Maybe we're there to sort of like help make some of those decisions.
Okay.
So you've got to be like 100% knowledgeable every facet of like the production that's taking place.
Yeah.
Essentially.
So it's hard for lower level writers, but it's like you throw them in there and you got to learn. You know what I mean?
You're not just dealing with like the story elements, but you're also dealing with the production.
And you're going, holy
business
shit!
Yeah.
Why is she wearing that top? She looks like a hooker. Can we change her out of that? You know what I mean?
Hence the reason you get a
like
producer
that.
credit.
Yeah, it's like you're looking at all aspects of it. I'm a little bit hands off. I tend to trust the director a lot until there's something super egregious. And that's kind of when I step in. I like to like be seen and not 100% heard. I like to like be in the back and then like just quietly be like, that was bad. Can we do that again?
You're like the silence before the storm.
Yeah.
You're like, I'm silent, everything's good, and then everything's not good.
Yeah, I just
like
try
a
and
drive-by.
There's some because you don't want you don't want to be the person that's like every 5 seconds being like, no, you don't want to be that person on the set. It makes everybody really nervous. I am a fan of picking battles. I always say, do you want to die on that hill?
Yeah,
I don't want to die on that hill. I'm very, very political when it comes to picking battles because life is too short and it is what it is.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
Now, question: as a showrunner, how do you balance dealing with the production but also dealing with studio and the network?
In what respect?
It was it depends on the network, but how like I'm assuming at ABC it's like very much in your face. We got a brand, but is the network always on you giving you notes? How do you handle if they're really invasive?
I mean, like I said, everybody wants to be heard. They have a job. They're protecting an asset. So it behooves them to give their opinion because at the end of the day, they have a certain idea of what they think works best in the show. I think it's like what I said. I think you have to pick the hill you want to die on. So I think there are certain things you can be like, no, I really don't want to change this and have a good argument as to why and fight for it. And then other times you have to listen to the notes. I think also there's always a note behind the note. I've been in the business for a minute. I've gotten, I think, pretty good at deciphering what the note is behind the note. Like they'll say something and it doesn't seem quite right. And then you go, oh, I see what the problem is. Okay. I can fix it by doing this. Or this isn't really a problem. Their real problem is this. Do you know what I mean? It's like you start being able to decipher it. I'm not a big fan of dismissing all notes because at the end of the day, they're still viewers. They are executives, but they're viewing the show as an audience to an extent. So it's like you want to still go, oh shit, well, if Joe Schmo didn't get that, we better fix that.
That's a good note to give. Yeah, that's a really good note. Yeah.
Shit, he watches TV all the time. If he didn't get what we were trying to do in that scene, then that's a problem. Do you know what I mean? We've missed something. It's like, I don't like to dismiss them out of hand. I think like, and sometimes I like, we get some great notes sometimes. You're like, shit, that's really good. I didn't think about that. Let's try that. Let's see if it works. You know what I mean? I'm really collaborative. I don't know if that's because I've been an actor and a writer, so like I appreciate the collaboration. I like collaborating.
I find that having that diverse background does help because I've worked with writers like me, actor, writer, came up from a different background, ended up writing, and we are very collaborative. We kind of like the teamwork. But also in some writers group, I work with just people who just writers, and I'm like, you're not listening.
Yeah.
If I don't understand, that's on you, not on me. that's on you.
I hear that.
And they still don't. And it's like, no, it's all right. I'll get it. No, okay.
That's important
fine.
for actors to know too, to at least like take a class, like maybe a writing class or like a something class.
All writers
Yeah.
should all writers should take acting classes.
Yep.
And all
Crossover.
actors should take writing classes.
classes.
Understand with the world.
I have my students read The Writer's Journey by Christopher Vogler.
I fucking love that book.
I have
That's one of my favorite
students.
books on writing.
I
I
had
tell people to
Veronica
read that all the
Landis
time.
read
I do?
tell people to read.
Oh,
It's
excuse me.
basically
I read it before you told
it's
me.
a dumbed down hero of a thousand faces.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it's good because
Yeah.
you want to dumb it down because Joseph Campbell is like hardcore.
Yeah.
But like
Yeah.
It's commitment level.
It's commitment level, right? No, 100%. It's important because there are similarities to the craft, but at the end of the day, they're super different.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean?
But we're
But
both
we're both storytellers.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That's the thing.
Yeah.
And it's good to know different POVs, not just your own.
One is more. One is really internal, and one is very external.
External.
Right.
Yeah.
So
But-
it's a different personality of the people that gravitate to. I love TV writing because it is a little bit more external because you're in a writer's room, and you have to collaborate with other writers, and I love it. I love the writer's room.
What's the writer's room like?
It can go. This is how I like to describe the writer's room. It is the longest Thanksgiving dinner of your life.
Nice.
It's like, I really love my Uncle George, but he's a fucking pain in the ass, and I have to sit with him for 9 months. You know, or like it's just this like you become super close to these people because it really is. You like tell some really deep shit in the room. You can get to a place where you like it's like psychology. Do you know what I mean? You're like in a therapy session. Sometimes you tell like because you're trying to relate to something emotionally, or you're talking about a storyline and something you've experienced adds another element to that story. So you find yourself telling really personal stories about your relationships, about your history, about your family.
Oh boy.
Yeah,
So,
hey,
like,
yeah, it gets real sometimes.
really
No
real.
wonder Sony was scared about those emails.
No, I mean it can get really like it can get really confessional,
Yeah.
and it has to be a really safe place to work. I've been in rooms that have been shitty. I've been bullied in rooms. I've been ignored in rooms. It depends. It all comes from the top down. It's whether or not the showrunner sets the tone, and everything comes from that. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like, you have to set the tone from the get-go of like, everything is safe in here. Nobody's mocked. Nobody's bullied. Everybody, if you feel like you're not being heard, that's my mantra for the day. If you're not being heard or you're being disrespected, you should be able to go to your showrunner and go, so-and-so co-producer is treating me like shit, and that needs to be corrected. But sometimes it doesn't happen that. This is the thing. You're asking a showrunner. You're asking a person who most of the time has been sitting in their like room, their office, their couch, their porch, wherever the fuck they want to write, in their own brain, writing by themselves, to now be manager of people.
Yeah.
Nobody teaches you how to be a showrunner, and now suddenly you have to be a manager. You have to know how to deal with employees.
A lot of egos.
Yes.
A lot of egos. to
So
manage.
And hurt feelings.
And a lot of hurt feelings. So there are a lot of showrunners that aren't good at it.
Yeah.
And I don't fault them for that. It is tough, man. It is tough to be managing people and emotional people. Writers are emotional. Even if you're like sort of a reclusive writer or an introvert, you're still an emotional person because you're writing characters and you're writing emotion and you're writing stories and you're putting your guts on the page. And now you're asking somebody to still be that and also manage a bunch of people that are like that. So mistakes are made.
Right.
It's a really fucking hard job. It's really, really hard.
It's like I was hired to be a writer, not to conflict resolution.
Yes. And
Yeah.
that's suddenly what you're
Yeah,
being
good
asked to
pull,
do.
Veronica.
Yeah, you're
Yeah.
right. That's what
Conflict resolution.
that's
Thank
what
you.
you're being asked
Thank
to
you.
do.
Thank
That's
you.
what you're being
you
asked to do.
growing now.
This is my 20-cent phrase for the day.
No, it's a really hard job. And
Yeah.
but the writer's room is when it's like working and everybody loves each other and it's a well-oiled machine, there's nothing like it.
How far
it
in
is
advance?
Like crack. It's like, this is the greatest thing ever. It's like everybody's like shooting at all cylinders and everybody's cracking everybody up, and it's like, and we're all like, it's like, it's the longest like.
It's like you don't want it to end.
Yeah, when it's awesome, it's awesome. When it's bad, I would rather work in a coal mine.
Getting the black lung pop.
Yeah. When it's bad, it's like, holy shit, this is bad.
How far in advance before you guys get to product, like when you for the next season of Queen of the South, like how far in advance do you guys start getting together in the writers' room before even getting to production?
Like 3.5 months.
3.5 months, carving out those stories,
Yeah.
and then how do you delve out who's going to write which episode? And
Well, the showrunner decides that. She basically tries to be fair and give people as many episodes as possible. Staff writers usually get one. You know, there's a little bit of hierarchy to that. That's where the more experienced writers maybe get a few more episodes because they write faster.
right.
And they're quicker to understand notes and turn around notes because you have to turn around notes pretty quickly. So higher level writers tend to write more episodes. It's really how the showrunner deems it. It's usually like the showrunner writes the first episode, the co-EP, the second in command, writes the second episode or the third episode. That's usually how it works, and then it sort of trickles down after that.
So when you go into 3 to 3.5 months worth of prep time, does that mean just you basically just like cloister yourself off from the world and like you don't see your family for like 3 months?
It also depends the showrunner. Like if the showrunner comes in with a very clear vision of the show, which is super important, it's a little bit easier. So they usually, if a showrunner knows what their vision is of the show, they usually come in with a lot of temp poles and an idea of what the season is. And when they come in with that much information, it's a bit easier. So it's not as like then the hours for the show. I mean, when you're dealing with Queen of the South, you're dealing with a third season show. It's a little bit easier. I would say that first season shows are a little bit harder. The hours are tougher because everybody's trying to find the show. So it's a little bit more difficult.
Yeah.
But like, in my opinion, a lot of shows work like 10 to 6 usually. I think 10 to 6 is too much. I think writers burn out at 4 p.m. The writers and we're just spinning our wheels. I've seen it happen.
And then
like
I'm
the
back
writers,
tomorrow.
the writers like are now spinning their wheels. They're exhausted. I mean, think about it. Anybody, if you concentrate a lot for 8 hours,
Exhausting. It's exhausting.
all you're doing is concentrating.
Yeah.
You're like thinking,
Yeah.
and it's problem solving. You're like problem solving. It's like
exhausting.
it's exhausting.
Then you don't want to go to the gym. You're like, I feel like I would just ran a marathon.
No. I set timers for 25 minutes for everything. I give 25 minutes to anything.
Because
that's it.
I mean, but that's
I wish I can do that.
and then I take a break, and then I'll come back. And
I
set a
do
timer
that,
for
and I'm
20.
like, but I'm almost done. Let me work a little more. It's just another half hour. It's like, oops.
No, I've learned I had to do that for myself. Otherwise, I will
you
work
have
myself
to. You
to the
have
bone.
to. You have to.
Yeah.
You have to. You have to take breaks. You have to clear out your head. It's more important to come back fresh to the problem.
Yeah.
If you sit there for 8 after a certain point, you start seeing the writers' faces just go blank. And you're like, why are we still sitting here? What's happening?
No, even when I'm writing specs or pilots, it's like you do have to say, okay, I need to put this away for tomorrow. I just can't. My brain's gone.
And how much work is done at the office as opposed to like you go home later that night and you're like, you whip out your laptop and you're like, wait a minute, I got an idea.
In the shower.
Right?
It happens.
Yeah.
No. I mean, it does. I mean, you need people to sort of step back from problems to come fresh the next day, for sure. Yeah.
Do you have any like tried and true methods of like turning your brain off and like just stepping away and like go off and do something? Like, do you spend time with family, with friends?
When I'm working on my own projects, it's very different. Or even when I'm sent off to script on a show, I'm very regimented. I'm like my dog Vinny, who's like, I like my schedule. Please feed me now, then walk me, then I get a treat, and then I go to sleep. And then at 5 o'clock, you feed me. And then I go for a walk, and then I get a treat. Yeah.
Vinny's a bulldog?
No, that's JoJo.
It's
JoJo's like, whatever.
I just seen the pictures of your dog on Facebook.
JoJo's like, I just want to be with you, Mom. I don't care. I'm very regimented with my time. So, like, I get up, I have my coffee, I check all my emails, I go to the gym. I come back, I write for an hour, I break for lunch, and then I do the majority of my writing after lunch. And then by like 4 or 5 o'clock in the afternoon, I'm done. And I don't touch it again. I don't look at it. I am a weird anomaly. We have a writer on the show that's like, I only write at night. I'm like, I would not be able to do that. You do you. You do you. He's a night owl. I know writers that like working in the morning. I know writers that like working late at night. But I also don't have children, so I don't have to deal. A lot of the people I know that have kids have to like sort of their schedule has to change.
Yeah, like I have no option. I have to write at night because there's no option. You know,
I have dogs, so like
those are your babies.
You know, they're my babies, but they're on my schedule. So
right.
No, I definitely like if something is super frustrating, I try and walk away from it for a while and come back at it fresh some other time.
So you find that you're able to balance, find a good healthy balance between like actually enjoying your life and not just being like locked down to one thing.
I have because I fucking love my career.
Oh, yeah.
I love writing for television. I love entertaining people. I am one of the very lucky people that gets paid for doing something creative and something that they love. But at the end of the day, I want to spend time with my husband and my dogs and my friends.
How'd you and your husband meet?
And Match.com.
Oh, really? Check is in the mail.
Yeah. Again, I just aged myself because nobody's on Match.com.
Again, guys, this is a running thing. We're not a sponsor. They're not a sponsor until they pay us. Let's just say a dating site.
However, Match.com.
Dating.com.
But my husband, my husband's an artist. He's a painter, so like he understands when I get a little nutty. And I can get nutty sometimes. I can get like in my head about something when I have a problem that's so bad that like we're out to dinner and I'm like my brain starts wandering because I'm trying to fix this problem.
Come back, baby. Come back, baby.
Yeah. And he's like, hello. And I'm like, sorry. I'm thinking about Act 3.
And he's just
Act 3 is a disaster.
And he's totally eating off your plate because you're not paying attention.
Exactly. But he's a painter, so he can also go into like, I hate that thing I did with the arm and that one thing,
Artists need artists.
Artists. But like, but he's not a writer. I would never marry a writer. Holy shit. Never.
I know a couple that are both working writers, and they make it work somehow. I'm with you. I'm like, I don't know how, but they make it work.
Anomalies. They're unicorns.
Oh, I get it. I mean, it's like actors dating actors. I don't know how. I mean, my girlfriend right now, totally in love. She's an actor. We do it, but beforehand?
Good luck.
Yeah, no, it's impossible.
No, but like my husband, so we had these fires in Sherman Oaks last year.
Oh, yeah.
Do you remember that?
Yeah.
So our office was like, we could not work in our office. It was really bad. So I offered my house up. So all the writers worked for 2 days in my house. And my husband was there. He was listening to us brainstorming. And he was like, it's kind of similar to what I do, but you guys do it in like a group atmosphere. But he's like, it reminded me of being in art school. Oh. And like basically showing a piece and everybody sort of talking about the piece and what they thought could be better. Like he was like, it was super interesting to listen to it. But he's like, it's similar to a lot of the stuff. He also graphic design, so he has to deal with notes when he's building a website and stuff. People, say, I don't like this, like how you drew the U in the logo or something. You know what I mean?
Such a thing. It's such a thing.
So it's a lot of similarities. It's like getting notes and having a sort of, work with other people, collaborate. Anyway,
very cool.
A lot of our listeners are actors, of course. So, how involved are the writers, are the producers with the casting process? How involved have you been with the casting process? What have you seen in the casting rooms that works and doesn't work?
I have a lot of opinions about this. Sorry, I know you're trying to wrap up. I saw you going.
No. This is important for all three of us right here. So go for it.
We're taking our own notes, so go slow.
So, excuse me while I take my
usually
pen and paper
the only the showrunner and the writer of the episode and maybe like the co-executive producer, depending on the show and the showrunner, get to see the auditions and weigh in on it. The showrunner is the last say on it. That being said, the studio and the network really weigh in on stuff, and they could really put the kibosh on somebody. They all have lists of actors that they like and actors that they don't like.
There's a list of actors they don't like?
How do you make sure you don't get on that list?
They have a list of actors that they like, and then you may pitch someone and they're like, absolutely not. But they're
on my unspoken list.
No, but you find out it's because they were a problem on a show or something.
Or
like
look
that.
like my ex. Yeah.
You know.
Well, go on.
Yes. But I've seen something that I don't like that's happened in the last few years, and it's because of the internet. And I'll explain. So when I worked on Lie to Me, which was a bazillion years ago, thank you.
I like the theme song.
Roth.
Yes, we the director and the writer of the episode, because usually the showrunner was too busy. So the director and the writer of the episode would sit in on a physical audition where the actor would come in and audition in front of you, and the director could give you changes, could give you direction.
Oh.
This whole fucking shit with people fucking putting shit on tape and sending it in is garbage, in my opinion.
Self-tapes. Yeah.
I agree.
You're telling us.
I hate it. It fucking sucks, but I'm going to explain to you why I think it happened. So there's a couple things going on. Unless your show shoots in Los Angeles on a lot, your offices are not on the lot. So you're in bumblefuck Sherman Oaks while your show shoots in Dallas. So there's no place to audition the actors. And because we're so busy in the room, nobody's traveling 20 minutes to go sit in an audition room with the casting director. And it goes to the point that at that point, if you're casting something, the director's probably already in Dallas prepping.
Right.
So what's happened is, because production has left LA, that's why you guys are self-taping so much.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to go, nobody has the time or can go now to an audition room somewhere. Lie to Me shot in LA. We were on the lot, and all the writers could walk to a designated room where all the auditions happened. The casting director was right then and there, so that's why there's all this self-taping. I think it's bad, though, and I don't think I don't think you can fix it because everything is shooting out of LA.
Yeah.
So half the time your director can't even be there helping you, you know, trying to adjust you, stuff like that, because they're already prepping.
Yeah.
So, like, that's what's happened. So it's not because we've wanted this to happen, but it's because the business has shifted and we're shooting less in Los Angeles. That's why that's happening. Right. I think it's super frustrating. I liked being in the room with actors. I thought you got better performances because it's not like some assistant to a casting director that's like, yes, I am here. And then you're supposed to act to this deadpan person.
Be more
like,
angry.
I am now talking to you.
Yep.
Now talk back to me. And
I like what you did. Let's do it again.
Yeah.
Do something different.
Yeah.
Do something
different.
It's frustrating. It's not giving you anything specific. And not only that, the person that's reading with you is monotone. It's like
always.
It's frustrating.
Yeah.
I get it why you guys are frustrated over this. It sucks. but I'm explaining to you why this has happened. This is why it's happened.
But again, it's kind of like, I mean, it's like writers. It feels like shooting arrows in the dark when you're doing all these self tapes. It's like, well, how do I know? Because you're not getting any feedback.
Well, I'll tell you what can come out of it. I've been in situations where that person maybe wasn't right for that role, but the showrunner liked their audition and said, can we keep them in mind for a bigger role or something down the line? They're not right for this. That's happened.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? They may not have gotten it right, but I like their look, or I like how they delivered something, or I think they're better than this part. Do you know what I mean? That's happened. But the frustration of just being in a generic casting room or self-taping is horrible, and I feel bad for you guys. I honestly think it's horrible. I really, really do.
There's a movie being shot in New Orleans, actually, and I don't even know if the movie's come out yet. Maybe it's like an independent film. Anyway, put myself on self-tape for this, and I'm like, okay, we're just going to do our best. We're going to do the work. We're going to put ourselves on tape, good quality, bada bing, bada boom. Send it in. Never expect to hear anything at all. Actually got a call back
awesome.
from it, but they want me to self-tape again for a completely different scene.
But do they give you direction before you self-tape?
Not at all.
Well, that's a bunch of bullshit.
All they did is like, here's a new scene. This is more of a monologue, and it's like a big monologue. Put yourself on tape. And that was the only thing I was given. And so I didn't book it, obviously. But it's so rare to have anything from self-tapes. And it's just like
no, it sucks.
What do y'all...
It sucks.
And like, you want to be able to show, I can take direction. I
exactly.
am a listener.
100%. Yeah, I hear you.
I'm here to collaborate. What do you want me to do?
I can give options.
Just
let me know what options you're looking for. Yeah.
I hear you. I feel you guys. It sucks. But that's my answer as to why that's like the proliferation of that has happened.
Do you have any advice for actors on self-tapes in order to stand out?
If you have the ability to get a little bit of coaching before you go on self-tape, maybe that helps. But I don't know what else to tell you. It sucks.
Yeah.
It really sucks.
Like, how many submissions go in for one role, would you think?
It depends. I mean, it really depends the role. Yeah. It depends. It just depends. I don't know how to answer
I'm just thinking of like...
I think the casting director probably calls it down.
Yeah.
She or he goes
tops to the top 5.
Yeah, and then sends us.
Is there any like terrible self tapes that you have seen that you're just like, no, never again? Lighting.
Yeah.
I've seen someone like, oh, you're green. Good to know. I mean, like it's
looking a little jaundice. Yeah.
Yeah.
That
lighting.
And sound, I would imagine.
Lighting and
too.
sound.
So the tech stuff.
Yeah, the tech stuff. Because like I start watching and I go, click. Fast forward. Next tape. I don't even bother finishing it.
Snap. Yep.
It's like if it looks like shit, I'm not watching it. I'm sorry to say that, but like I only have a certain amount of time, and like
it's true.
And also, I don't know what you look like. You look like Kermit the Frog.
You could
I don't
be
know
green.
what that. You could be green.
Yeah.
You could be from another planet.
You could be yellow. You could be from another planet. I have no idea what you fucking look like.
You could be headed to the hospital right after the self tape.
I have no idea.
His titties are shutting down.
No,
you could have leprosy.
No, I just find it amazing
possible.
that like you look at the tape, it's like he looked green, but bring him in anyways, and he actually shows up and he's fucking green.
He's fucking
I'm like,
green. And you're like, holy shit!
damn it!
I would never question this process
Actually, I
again.
have not this role, but another one.
Right.
I need a green guy
So
for
you
something else.
did have a good camera. Oh, so sorry. My
I
bad.
apologize.
I
for
wish
the
I
HD.
had better advice, but
No, but it's good that
it's
we
good.
hear the truth. Like,
Yeah.
we need to know because then we can prepare and do our best. But sometimes time constraints, like I've had last minute self tapes where I'm like, I need it by 5 and it's 3 p.m.
no,
I'm
well,
like,
that's a bunch of bullshit.
I'm like, what
I'm
the
sorry.
fuck?
I mean, like that. My friend was auditioning for something today, and yesterday she showed up at my house to print out the sides, and she goes, Dailyn, I'm literally reading airplane jargon. I have to like learn shit
Yeah.
like, can you go 25 to the south? And I'm like, holy shit! She read me the dialogue. I was like, when do you have to audition for this? She goes, they gave me literally hours.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm so sorry. That is horrible.
Yeah, I went out.
Yeah, it's horrible.
Oh, it's a show on Amazon. It's the
medical jargon, man.
Yeah.
Medical jargon.
God,
I know I
whatever.
worked on a medical show. It's horrible.
Yeah. No, there's an Amazon show about, I really wanted the show and I forget, I blanked it. Los Angeles something. It's about how the NASA program started by a bunch of people doing LSD in the 30s, and they would build rockets and then go have a sex cult. And
Okay.
Giggity.
no, it's a fascinating book. It's Los Angeles something. It's a fascinating book, but they sent me the size for one of the priests, and it's this 2-page Shakespearean monologue, and I had an hour to learn this like cult monologue.
Not okay.
And I'm like,
Not okay.
what the hell?
Not
what the
okay.
hell? Okay, great, perfect, awesome, great. But I don't know. I'm a military brat, so I'm like, listen, it is what it is. I'll prepare the best I can, and that's all I can do.
Yeah.
That's all I can do.
I'm trying to figure out why you being a military brat is relevant to that, but I'll let it go.
We are taught
I'm going to let it
because
go.
in how I was brought in the military that I didn't join, but they trained me. It's basically, this is your objective.
You just do what
the
you-
obstacles
yeah,
doesn't
got it,
matter.
got
You
it,
just
got
do
it,
your
got it.
objective. That's it.
Adapt,
Now I
improvise,
understand.
and
Thank you
overcome.
very much.
Yeah.
Pretty
Thank
much.
you. I get it now. All right. Anyway.
Well, we're coming to like some special segment points now.
Oh,
we're gonna play a few
shit.
games here.
I'm not.
Ronnie,
Oh
you-
no, I'm super competitive.
Oh,
Oh,
well.
super exciting.
man.
I love that she made eye contact with me when she said that. I was like, oh, it's game on.
Oh, it's game on.
Really? You want to take on the knife wielding?
No, I actually don't.
Because she will cut it.
I'm a pacifist.
I'm trying to figure out how to keep ninja stars in my hair.
Oh, Jesus.
Like with bobby pins and such. I haven't found the
That's
proper,
like a
You were
1950s
so
gang
Kill
shit
Bill.
where they have like
right? Just like a it's on.
razor blades
Yeah,
in
yeah.
their fucking bouffants.
I've been
right?
asked that on more than one occasion if I
This is
keep like
Veronica.
small knives in my hair.
Landis, why am I single? Let's see.
Never have asked him this question.
Well, oh yeah, you have. Well, let's start to make a list right now.
Oh man. So then first segment then is going to be for Landis then.
Oh, you want
Oh, for me?
So
all right.
all
I'm ready.
right. Intro. I'm doing a quick improv intro.
Okay.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are now presenting to you one of our brand new segments-ish, brand new-ish, Landis's WTF Hollywood Rant. Take it away.
Hello, and welcome to my WTF rap, which really today's more like WTF country and nation. Bring it down a little bit. Oh, it's echoing. Sorry, it's not in my mic. I'm like, am I imagining things? So, here's the thing. No, actually, bring it down. Bring it down. Let's bring it down a little bit so I gotta
brought it
focus.
higher.
Because this one's personal. This one's personal. It hits one. So last week, Jeffrey Owens, an actor, was outed by Fox News because he worked at Trader Joe's in New Jersey. Now, Jeffrey Owens was the star. Was the star of the Cosby Show. Can you play the clip, please?
Absolutely.
The fact that I, as the guy from the Cosby Show, was shamed about working at Trader Joe's, that story is going to move on. That's going to pass, you know? But what I hope doesn't pass is this new recognition now, this current sensitivity that people are feeling about work and about people working. I hope what continues to resonate is the idea that one job is not better than another, that a certain job might pay more, it might have better benefits, it might look better on paper, but that essentially one kind of work is not better, superior than another kind of work, and that we reevaluate that whole idea and we start just honoring the dignity of work and respecting the dignity of the working person.
Cool. So here's what happened. So an actor, a successful actor that worked in a major television show, got a normal job, and then a customer took a picture, and Fox News decided to shame him because he went from a hit network TV show to bagging groceries in a New Jersey Trader Joe. Now, here's what this out-of-work actor has done. Here, bring it down. Bring it down. Okay, so this out-of-work actor, this is his IMDb list for 2018, 16, and 17. Impossible Matters, Fizzle, Elementary, Hibiscus, which is a show I don't know about, but Greenport, The Blacklist, Lucifer, Blue Bloods, Divorce, Youth in Oregon, Deadbeat, The Affair, The Leftovers. This guy has been working. But here's the thing about actors. We are in a backwards business where we have no security.
Feast or famine.
Yeah, no security. We don't get retirement. Even though we have a great union, if I don't make enough money, I do not get insurance. So we are forced to take other jobs, maybe 2 or 3, like anyone in this country that has to afford an apartment in any major metropolitan area. So my issue is this. It goes to a bigger problem that we value the wrong thing here, in the sense that a Wall Street person, man or woman, who makes a ton of money really doesn't contribute to anything because it's digital money. You're not doing really shit. You destroy. You don't really create anything. That is valued. If you have the big car, if you have the money, that is great. But if a person loses a job and takes any kind of legal work to provide from a family, they're looked down upon. And I'm sorry, that's a fucked up mentality because I respect... And this is where it hit me personally. 2013 was my year. I make the Young and Hungry list, top 100 writers in Hollywood. I get meetings all around town. I start booking a ton of work. I actually start getting meetings to get into the writer's room for the very first time. Then my family had issues. They lost everything, and I had to drop everything to get 3 jobs so my family could eat. And the amount of shame that I got from coworkers of like, why are you doing this? Why are you working this office job? Was ridiculous. And it's not only in our society, but even we do it to ourselves in our industry, where if you're a working actor and you dare teach an acting class, you're looked down upon. And that's bullshit. And that's bullshit. Because if you're working an honest job to provide for your family, that gives you the freedom to do what you love and still make some money on that, you should cherish that. We should celebrate that. If you're a garbage man that makes 5 figures and still can get out early to pick up your fucking kids in school and hang out with your family, that's commendable. That's fucking admirable. And that's your phone. They're broke. So we need to change that perspective. We need to change the idea that because I'm on TV and I have to leave that because something happened that you don't know about, I have to take another job that pays me well, it doesn't mean I'm less than you. It doesn't mean I'm failing because I'm still fucking working. I'm still providing. I'm still being a human being. And I respect Jeffrey because at least he took a job and still working as an actor, whereas the Lindsay Lohan's, what's his fucking name? He married Kardashian. I hate him so much. Who married Kim Kardashian?
Kanye West.
Kanye, yeah. A fucking saw that they have to be in the limelight, that he will suck the dick of an evil dictator president just to stay relevant.
Wow, this got ugly.
Relevant. No, I get it.
He's also going to direct porn now, apparently.
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
A whole other thing.
You
didn't hear about that?
Oh, yeah.
By the way, there are not enough F-bombs in this rant.
No,
they're not enough.
I'm not drunk. But a Kanye West who fucking has to suck the dick of an asshole or do porn or do anything stupid to stay fucking relevant, instead of saying, hey, I might as well take another job because at least I don't have to be a dick and I can hang out with my family, that is not commendable. But in this country, we value that. We actually give him more attention to that fucking bullshit.
I don't want to interrupt your rant.
No,
but
you're going to interrupt that, but that's my thing. I need to grow
I
up.
also think that people don't understand really how much working actors make. They think everybody's rich. And it's batshit crazy.
You book a co-star or a guest star, and all of a sudden you got cousins out the woodwork.
No,
but it's not that.
Most actors are blue-collar workers.
Exactly. But it's like,
Which is a whole other thing, too, the blue-collar worker. And yet we're being told that they don't want to hear our political opinions.
But that's another thing. That's a whole other thing.
That's a different rant.
That's a different rant. But you're right. We're in an industry that we work one time. I have no guarantee of ever knowing if I'm going to work ever again, really.
When I got off of my first series regular, I was good. I had money in the bank, and I was good for a good couple of years. And then I had to suck it up and go back to a restaurant.
Yeah.
I had to go back and do restaurant work again. And while I was doing restaurant work, the worst part about it was I was working in a restaurant in Westwood, all the way away from... I was trying to get away from Hollywood. And I would still run into people that would come into my restaurant that I worked with. Yeah. And they'd be like, so what are you doing here? Like, I'm less than... I'm paying my fucking rent, motherfucker.
Yeah. No, but we need to, and I can't change society, but at least we can start with ourselves, because even we do it to ourselves. Like, I'm sure, like, you have that, but if your actor friends saw you there, they would be the same judgmental looks they would give you. It's like, what are you doing back here? And we need to stop that, because there's a reason, and this is what I tell my brother, because he's very, very much, very staunch right-wing. And he's always, every time the Oscars come in, he's like, why are you guys doing this? And I got to explain to him, because we have no security. I can win an Oscar, and that could be the last thing I ever fucking do in this career. So the few times that we celebrate it, we fucking celebrate it, because there is no security in what we do.
Yeah.
I have no retirement. I have nothing that guarantees me another job. So, but it has to start with our community, that we know better. We know this. So I'm glad that he was defended. I'm glad people came out and defended him.
I'm Tyler Perry might be giving him a
exactly, and he's going great. He got promoted. He might get a job of it, but
I just hope he's not playing Medea.
A job is a job.
A job is a job.
But but that is my rant for today. Fuck you, Fox News.
Fuck you, Fox News, indeed. Ronnie, you got a little something going on.
I do.
Yes.
So my segment is being referred to as The More You Know. Social media questions. Essentially, I put out the feelers to all of our social media and ask for our listeners to post questions that they want to ask us, the panel, as well as our guests.
Cool.
So the questions I've got for you today, or for all of us, is Candace, who is a writer, apparently. She is asking, do you recommend new writers submitting their material to the major network diversity showcases?
Oh, that's the showcases. When she says showcases, I only think of like the.
I'm assuming fellowships, all the fellowships.
Something like that. I feel like.
Because NBC has one, ABC has one,
Yes.
Fox
Yeah.
has one,
The
Warner
answer is
Brothers
yes.
has one. Yeah, so.
Is yes,
and the
for
answer
sure.
is yes.
Yeah. But do know that
With the caveat.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
but no, the caveat is like each of them have their specific rules, so you're going to be writing 3 to 4 scripts.
It's quite possible.
And because I did it last year, you're going to be writing 3 or 4 scripts. If you write comedy, stick to comedy. If you write drama, stick to drama, because a lot of them frown upon bouncing back and forth.
Oh, snap.
So read the fine
It's
details.
dumb because more writers are bouncing back and forth.
I was going to
these
say
days,
because
but-
they're writers.
Yeah.
And y'all can okay, cool. Awesome. All right. Well, the next question is from Sarah. I've always wanted to write for TV. How do I get started?
That's a big question.
That's a big
She's
question.
How do I get started?
seems
Tell me.
loaded.
now.
Well, I mean, but it's. I kind of answered that question. It's sort of there are 2 tracks, actually 3 tracks. There's getting into one of these programs, the Disney Fellowship, the WB Writers Program, et cetera, et cetera. There's trying to get a writer's PA job, trying to get a and then eventually a writer's assistant job and moving up through the ranks. But that doesn't guarantee you a writer job. You have to prove that you're a good writer in that situation to be able to finally get a staff writing position. And the third way to do it is to create your own content and create webisodes and hope that you create that show that gets, that
that
somebody
awkward
wants
black
to
girl.
buy. Like,
Yeah.
or like
Awkward
high,
black girl.
high
Insecure,
maintenance,
yeah.
insecure, awkward, that show that gets eyes on the air. And the next thing you know, you're creating a show for
HBO.
HBO.
Yep.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. I would say also just write. Like, you need to be good at it. You need to be good at it.
Well, yes, of course.
Because it's like I find.
Yeah, but let's be honest, Landis. You
Yeah.
can write your ass off for years and still not get your foot in the air.
No,
the door, but
true.
like,
No,
you
trust me, I
it's-
know. But
yeah.
but it's the thing. Like, it's the same commonality that I find with actors. They're like, I want to act, but you're not acting, you're not practicing. So when you get the moment, you're not really
right.
ready.
Don't just write one
Yeah.
script and go, I'm a genius.
Exactly.
Like you gotta work at the craft.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure. Awesome. Well, that is the end of the questions that I have. So
Okay.
we're now officially moving on to our next segment, which is a game.
Yeah, you're playing a game now.
Yes.
90 awkward seconds with Jorge.
Jorge.
Go ahead and break it down for us, Jorge.
I'm worried.
Oh, this should be fun.
You should pour another drink.
As we refill our drink.
No, I'm done drinking. No.
You sure
I'm
though?
done.
I
I'm
still see
done.
a third of the bottle.
Nope. Done.
Okay, so
Okay.
here's the
What was the
dealio.
music so creepy to me today? I don't know. I'm weird
Here's
today.
the dealio.
Like
So
it's not
I've got this list of true or false questions mixed up
shit.
with some other questions
I
here.
hate this already.
I'm going to put on a little timer.
Oh shit.
And no, we
And
are
I'm
judging you.
And know that everybody is watching.
We are.
And we're just
Well,
going to ask you some
I
questions.
have to go to dinner now.
Oh, there's a seatbelt strapping you to the chair.
Yeah,
You're good.
You're
Go
not
ahead.
going anywhere.
Okay.
All right, here we go. Standing by. Let's see if this. Okay. What is the name of your first crush?
Larry.
Have you ever had a crush on a person at least 10 years older than you?
No.
Who is the worst kisser you've ever kissed?
Oh my God, this guy in high school, I'm not going to say his last name. His name is Chris.
Do you ever admire yourself in the mirror?
No.
Have you ever been stood up on a date?
Yes.
Ooh. What's the most embarrassing thing you've done regarding your crush?
Oh my God, I have no idea. I can't answer that one. Sorry.
Pass.
Pass. I'm stressed out.
You're going to be stuck on a desert island, and you can only bring 5 things. List them.
Oh shit. I can only bring 5 things. things, not people, right? Things?
Yes.
Things. Oh, shit. What do I bring? I bring, A Sport and a Pastime, which is a book by James Salter, my favorite book ever written. I bring a hairbrush. I bring a toothbrush and toothpaste, which is only going to last me for a short amount of time. That's 4 things. And I don't know what the 5th one is.
Oh my God!
A
You're
volleyball that you can paint with your hands.
I was thinking like build a fire.
you are so
that
dead. You are so dead.
But you look amazing.
I look amazing.
But those teeth are healthy though.
I was gonna be like a build a fire.
No, because I was thinking about like things that
A brush?
You can burn.
A hairbrush?
You
and a
can burn
toothbrush?
the paper, the pages of the book. So
No,
Okay.
but
get
no,
with
no.
the flint.
Not without a
like,
match.
See, in
get
this,
a flint.
my parents messed me up.
Yeah, but I have to be honest with you. Even if I brought like a lighter, it would run out eventually. But the book would be
No.
there
Flint.
for me.
Flint.
Flint.
Fuck you guys.
I was thinking in my brain.
I
I was
have
like,
to be honest with you. I'm going to attribute my answers to 2 glasses of wine. Everybody, calm down. Everybody, calm down. Calm down.
No. No, don't worry. I'm afraid. I'm trained in survival, and I got really good at it because I lost almost all my family in Puerto Rico. But my brother, who's special forces, he's trained differently. He's trained to just murder. So when I got there, he's like, "Oh, I got this." The same thing. "Oh, I got a book. I got this." I'm like, "Oh God, you guys are so dead. You're killing my niece and nephew." I'm like, "No, we need this and this and this and this one. Now we're good."
Well, let me explain something to you. If I'm stuck on a desert island by myself, I don't really want to be there. So, like, at the end of the day,
that should have been one
I'm
choice.
like,
A gun with one bullet.
A gun with one bullet. Yeah, there's no way.
I don't need 3 more things.
I love humans way too much. Like, it's not going to be good.
I'm pretty sure on Veronica's list,
Knives.
we got knives and ninja stars.
Why didn't I think of at least a
broadsword.
knife?
Maybe
Because
some
I
brass
could like cut
knuckles.
stuff.
You need to hide.
I really, guys, it's the wine. I made all the wrong decisions.
Legit, my
This
dad
is horrible.
and one of my brothers would always watch that
embarrassed.
TV show with like a bear. Somebody.
Yeah, Bear Grylls. Yeah.
They used to watch it all the time, and I'd watch it and be like, yeah, I can bring a flint. Yeah, I'll add that to my list.
I'm sorry. I would like to say that you just said
See.
that it was a bear. It was actually a human named Bear.
Named Bear.
Bear. Hey, Bear. Okay.
It's like BEHR. It's like
Bear
very
Grylls,
interesting.
right?
Yeah,
it is. Yeah.
See,
It's legit the same in the show. But I was like already making my list. I was like,
I'm
okay,
mortified
noted.
by my answers.
Solar powered like lights or
Oh
something.
yeah, I've shown you
I'm
my go
mortified.
bag. Did I show you my go bag? I've shown you my go bag. Yeah.
I don't camp, guys.
I don't either.
I
You still need a
glam.
go
I don't
bag.
either.
It's not
I
about
do
camping.
nothing.
Very
I grew
deaf.
up in New York City.
I'm
I
from
don't know what to tell
Virginia
you.
Beach, Virginia.
All right. So I'm
By the
gonna
ocean.
I'm gonna email you everyone
I
a
like
list.
Ute.
Send me, Landis, send me
Yurt.
your entire, like,
Yep.
if the
Oh.
world is ending,
Let-
if, like, the zombie apocalypse is coming, can you just send me a list
I
of the
would
shit
say
that I
okay.
need?
Listen,
I was just say which apocalypse? Zombies,
Listen.
robots, like aliens?
my neighbors and my ex-wife made
MAGA hats, what?
no. Yeah, well that too. A lot. Well, you're lighter skinned, so you're good. So
Oh, right, I passed.
You're
Sorry.
passed. Yeah. But my neighbors and my ex-wife made fun of me because I have my go bag, I have my stuff, I have everything. You're supposed to have at least
you
24
got
hours
to.
of survival stuff. But
I have an earthquake kit.
but
I got one in my
yeah.
car.
But they made fun of me, and then we had the Silmar fire, so I live in Van Nuys, and they were
shit.
right
Sorry.
there.
Yeah.
Right there. And
My friend got evacuated.
yeah,
so,
all the I live in a little, like, kind of behind a gate with 3 little bungalow homes.
Yeah.
And all of them came out, Solandis. I'm like, I got my daughter, I got my wife, I got my dogs. All of you can go away.
You
That's
figure your
it.
shit out.
I got my shit out.
Yeah,
Yeah,
with the
I got
big
my
out.
shit out. I got my shit done. You guys go. You laughed at me. Go the fuck away. My car's packed. I'm out.
Yeah.
Done.
Basically, Landa says, fuck you.
It's like, okay, I am an asshole, but when you have a kid, it's a different perspective. That's my priority. And
I hear you.
you go from like being empathetic to like, fuck the world.
No,
This
I
is
get
my
it.
priority
I get
right
it.
here.
I get
Yeah.
it.
But that's it. That's my story.
On that happy note.
On that happy
Awesome.
note, Veronica, you want to
Yeah, close us out.
close us out?
All right. Well, first of all, thank you so much for listening. HUAWLA koalas. I just love saying that. Koalas. It's
Oh, yeah.
just an adorable
Count.
little raccoon teddy bear thing.
Whoa, wait. We're going to elaborate in the next episode. Oh, God. Next episode, elaborate.
We're going to talk about that off
Yeah. Oh, God.
We're going to have to isolate that clip.
Either way, make sure to subscribe, comment, and share on iTunes. Leave a review, and you guys get a shout out. Also, make sure to find us on all social media platforms where you can like, comment, and follow us. And the name or the handle is at Hurry LA Podcast. Now, you can also follow me personally at Veronica_Roy, pretty much across the board. I'm pretty easy to find. And yeah, how about you, Landis? Where can we find you?
You can find me at Landis Aponte pretty much everywhere, except Facebook. That's private. And Jorge, where can we find you?
You can find me at the El Jorge on all of my social media. That is THEEL Jorge. How about you, Dailyn? Where can people find you?
I'm on Twitter. I think just Dailyn Rodriguez. You can find me. My avatar is my French bulldog, and Dailyn Rod at Instagram. But I'm private, so I have to accept you. I'm still not.
Keeping it on the DL.
I'm keeping it on the DL.
I just added you yesterday.
I know.
I was going to say, I just tagged you in our live feed. I was like, oh, found her.
Stalker knife person.
I just, please don't ask me for a job. That's all I ask. Thank you.
I'll leave that tonight.
Excuse me. Wait a minute. Take that
Take that text back. Take that text back.
Okay.
The problem is that I'm like super empathetic and I'm going to want to write you back. And then like it's
Get
like
involved.
30 million people. And then I get involved. And then I just like, it's horrible. I'm like,
I care.
I know I care. I care way too much. So.
I don't think that's the thing you got to worry about with us.
Thank you.
But anyway, I'm going to play us out with our little outro.
More music
right.
by the not dead Sam Suenos.
Still alive.
I legit talked to him this weekend.
Yeah.
I want evidence.
He was the set photographer on my set.
I want evidence. Bring me a finger. I want a thumb.
Pretty sure he's utilizing all of them.
I want a thumb and an earlobe.
Okay. All right.
That's
I hear you.
That's a little weird.
I hear you. And
That's a little weird.
on that note, thanks guys for listening.
Yeah.
Talk to you
Thank
next
you
time.
for having me.
Thank you for coming.
Dude, HUAWLA koala.
HUAWLA koalas, raccoon rat things.
Oh, shut up.